Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So the question for today in this particular reading is, what do viewers need to know about love and romance? What do viewers need to know about love and romance? So this could be for people that are in a relationship or people that are not in a relationship or not dating or hanging out with anyone right now. Could indicate someone coming into your life, or it could indicate ways of being to help you in your current love, romance that you already have. So, the first hexagram is number 55, Feng, abundance, also known as fullness. Chen, or the arousing thunder, is movement. Li is flame, whose attribute is clarity. So here we have the two attributes that are going to be discussed in length in this hexagram. Clarity from the lower trigram of Li, the flame, is clarity. And then Chen, or the arousing thunder, is movement, particularly joy and movement. So clarity within and movement without. This produces greatness and abundance. The hexagram pictures a period of advanced civilization. However, the fact that development has reached a peak suggests that this extraordinary condition of abundance cannot be maintained permanently. Well, that's okay. We don't need it maintained permanently. We just need doses of it in adequate supply, right? Keep it coming. Yeah. Now, if you've been in a situation where you've been in a decline or a state of decrease, okay, this could be your opportunity to move up the mountain. So the judgment, abundance has success. The king attains abundance. Be not sad. Be like the sun at midday. So this is very encouraging. It's essentially telling you to be abundant in the amount of light that you cast. So shine like the sun at midday, and try not to be sad or sorrowful, okay? Because it's talking about a time of abundance really should be a time of happiness and joy and fulfillment and fullness. Okay, so it's not given to every mortal to bring about a time of outstanding greatness and abundance. Only a born ruler of humanity is able to do this, because this person's will is directed to what is great. Such a time of abundance is usually brief. Therefore, a sage might well feel sad by viewing the decline that must follow. But such sadness does not befit the sage. Only a person who is inwardly free of sorrow and care can lead in a time of abundance. So here's a hint. If you want to help usher in the abundance by doing some things to help empower yourself, then this is an example. To free yourself of sorrow and care. If you can move away from sorrow and sadness and excessive concern and worry and care and so forth, then you can lead in a time of abundance, and you actually prepare for that in advance by getting rid of those things if you're able to. So this person must be like the sun at midday that illuminates and gladdens everything under heaven. So what an image. Here, you get out there and shine. Okay, this can be also just entering into a better energy for yourself, where you're not allowing, previously perhaps you were not allowing your full radiance or your full authentic self to pour through. And here, this talks about that opportunity to experience that. So, the image, both thunder and lightning come, the image of abundance. Thus, a superior person decides lawsuits and carries out punishments. Now, this is a little tricky because the language, I think, is referring back to quite a long time ago with lawsuits and punishments, but let's dive into it just a little bit. This hexagram has a certain connection with the hexagram number 21, biting through, in which thunder and lightning similarly appear together, but in the reverse order. So that hexagram, biting through, is the reverse of this particular hexagram, abundance. Here they are applied, and in biting through, laws are laid down And in this hexagram of abundance, they are applied and enforced. So clarity, or Li, the bottom trigram, the fire, the flame, which makes it possible to investigate the facts exactly. Okay, that's interesting. Precision, understanding facts exactly. And shock, or the thunder, Chen, which ensures a strict and precise carrying out of punishments. So let's insert decisions or actions instead of punishments. So here we have Chen ensures a strict, this is the thunder, the arousing thunder on top, that top trigram. Instead of ensuring a strict and precise carrying out of punishments, it's a strict and precise carrying out of actions or decisions. This paints a very good time for you in which you're able to see clearly, and this clarity really is going to help you prevent some potential problems in the future, of which the 9 in the third place does begin to describe that. So the idea of clarity, thunder, and flame connecting, which is movement, or the movement of the thunder. Excuse me, is it thunder? Yes, the movement of the thunder will be the movement, the joy in movement, and clarity, Li, the flame, will be the wisdom to really understand things, to really see people for who they are, facts and characteristics exactly. Okay, that's really going to be helpful to you. You're not going to think of people in the way you'd like them to be. You're actually going to see them in the way that they are, which is a helpful thing for you to really try to enter into as much as possible, because you'll save yourself a lot of pain and suffering by allowing that true clarity to impress itself upon you. Okay, and your decisions and also your actions. So the first changing line, I'm going to move the mic 1 second here. I want to sit up for a sec. Just take me a second. 1 sec. So 9 in the third place means the underbrush is of such abundance that the small stars can be seen at noon. He breaks his right arm, no blame. Okay, so this is an image of a progressive covering over the sun. Okay, and the eclipse reaches totality. Therefore, even the small stars can be seen at noon. Okay, this shows an eclipse. And in the realm of social relationships, this means that the prince, or I suppose you could say the princess, but here we have this as the prince, that the prince is now so eclipsed that even the most insignificant persons can push themselves into the foreground. So here we have the idea of a person who's in a position of power, right? The prince is now so eclipsed, right? Their light is not able to shine forth, that even the most insignificant persons, or persons that you don't even find significant, can find themselves in your life, can push themselves into your life, essentially. So this is essentially what this hexagram is talking about. Have the wisdom and take the right actions, because you want to avoid this particular situation that it's cautioning you about. To be very careful about the people that you allow into your realm. Okay, really think about this in advance, and don't just move towards something because it's convenient, or because you don't have anything better to occupy your time, this kind of thing. Those are not really good reasons to hang out with people. So this situation paints an eclipse, okay? And the powerful prince is allowing, or it paints the idea that the most insignificant people can push themselves into the foreground because he's been so eclipsed. He's not seeing as clearly as we'd like him to see, and it's probably related to the fact that for some reason, we don't know why, but for some reason his light, his being, his essence has been eclipsed by something. Perhaps a past experience that was difficult, could be many different things. So this makes it impossible for this prince, though he might be the right hand of the ruler to undertake anything. So it makes it really hard to undertake things and see a lot of progress. But the idea here is to try to be satisfied with making even small progress. That's a step toward feeling the fulfillment and the accomplishment that you want. So it's as though the prince's arm were broken, but the prince is not to blame for being thus hindered in action. So we see this idea of no blame. That's very important, and this is probably another hint as to how to enter more fully into the new state, which is beginning to happen. You're shedding this old cycle, and you're beginning to enter into a new state that is slowly probably dawning upon you, an inkling that you are going through a transition, a cycle. An old one is ending, a new one is beginning. So, but the happy idea is that don't fault yourself for being hindered or eclipsed. Okay, it's not your fault, and therefore don't get down on yourself for that. The situation is beyond your control, and you did not create this situation. So you just got to get through this time, because probably you're looking in the taillights about some sort of breakup or ending or something that didn't continue. Could be with a person, perhaps a career, and maybe that threw your energy for a big loop. Who knows? A lot of different things it could be. So this moves to then the 9 in the 4th place, which means the curtain is of such fullness that the pole stars can be seen at noon. He meets his ruler, who is of like kind, good fortune. So again, we see change here in the changing line in the 4th place. The curtain, this darkness that allows this fullness, the pole stars, the light from the stars can be seen at noon. And this one person, it could be male or female, it's just talking in a male pronoun, but not important. This person meets their ruler, and their ruler is of like kind. The ruler and, for lack of a better word, the person is not the ruler. I don't know if I want to say the servant, because that's not the relationship we see here. But it's just there's someone in a higher position, and this person is also very much like you. Okay, and it talks about good fortune. So I'll read the additional information. Here the darkness is already decreasing. So here we go. We're moving away from you being eclipsed. Okay, and therefore, because the darkness is already decreasing, interrelated elements come together. Interrelated means that these two persons or two things relate with one another, connect with one another, and these elements, because they're related or connected to each other in a very meaningful way, that they just automatically come together. You don't have to do anything. And here too, the complement must be found. Oh, complement. What an interesting word choice for the I Ching to put there. So the person that would complement you, and you complement them. So here too, the complement must be found. The necessary wisdom. Here we go with that yin-yang duality here. The necessary wisdom to complement joy of action. So here we have joy of action, again, reiterated, paired with wisdom. And wisdom paired with joy of action, or joy in action. This all comes from that clarity and that movement that we talked about earlier. So by entering into this type of complement, relationship, interaction, situation, everything will go well. The complementary factor that is considered here is the reverse of the one in the first line. The first line is the 9 at the beginning in this hexagram. And in that position, wisdom is to be complemented by energy. While in this hexagram of abundance, energy is complemented by wisdom. So, just a different way of seeing it. One energy complementing the other, both complementing each other, of course. One starting point slightly different. So, and perhaps to help this this energy or this shift out of this old cycle and into the new cycle, We could even consider things that are going to help you get your energy moving to help pair with your wisdom. So let's say you want to do some dancing or some yoga, trampoline, do some walking, biking, hiking, whatever it is that you're into, some creative movement, some, I don't know all the different things you could possibly be doing, but Tai Chi, I suppose, would be another one. So many different ways to move. And that could be assisting you in this process as well to help you even bring more of that wisdom out to the light, to be complemented by that energy, that joy and action. So energy and action, joy and action, and energy and wisdom. Those are the two things that this hexagram really talks about. Be on the lookout for wisdom and energy in yourself and also in others that you may be considering hanging out with or interacting with and so forth. So the first hexagram then moves to return, the turning point. There's Boom Pie. He's saying hello. So return, the turning point, number 24. Let's get into that. The idea of a turning point arises from the fact that after the dark lines have pushed all of the light lines upward and out of the hexagram, okay, let's see, is that the hexagram that's just before this? Let's see. Indeed it is. So the hexagram that is just before this, we should take note of, is entitled Splitting Apart. Splitting apart. So you've got all yin lines on the bottom and just one yang line at the top, and the yin lines are about ready to push that yang line out, and they do, they succeed. And then here we get the next hexagram, number 24, return, the turning point, and that dark line that they threw on out at the top now comes back at the bottom and becomes a strong foundation. The yang line becomes a strong foundation. So this is a very good thing. Okay. So I think I just narrated that. The time of darkness is past. Okay, so this is a very positive image for us to look toward. The time of darkness is past. The winter solstice brings the victory of light. The hexagram is linked with the 11th month, the month of the solstice, December, January. So the judgment, return, success, going out and coming in without error. Friends come without blame. To and fro goes the way. On the 7th day comes return. It furthers one to have somewhere to go. All positive things, going out and coming in without error. Okay, talks about success right off the bat. Not making errors. Friends come without blame. They're not casting aspersions at you. They're not pointing their finger at you. They're thinking, oh yeah, you're a great guy. And this is the way that things are going to be, it's essentially saying. And on the 7th day, okay, after this cycle, the 7th day would indicate a particular cycle, then there's going to come a return, okay, and it furthers one to have somewhere to go. Essentially, having somewhere to go is not just literally getting in the car, or getting on your bike or whatever and going somewhere. It can be that, but it's, is there something that you can do? Is there an action that you can take? Are you in a process with a project, that kind of thing? So the judgment, the interpretation. After a time of decay comes the turning point. The powerful light that has been banished returns. There is movement, but it is not brought about by force. The upper trigram, kun, is characterized by devotion. Thus the movement is natural, arising spontaneously. So devotion, natural movement that arises spontaneously. This is painting a picture that you don't have to do anything. This is just unfolding for you. For this reason, the transformation of the old becomes easy. That's lovely. The transformation of the old becomes easy because this is just one cycle. This is a cycle, a movement, and it's completely natural and spontaneous. Okay. The old is discarded and the new is introduced. The old is discarded and the new is introduced. So this is like coming out of the darkest point of the year and into more light. So societies of people, okay, both measures accord with the time. So this is the old being discarded and the new introduced. or the transformation of the old becoming easy, both of these things are in agreement with the time that you happen to find yourself in right now. So yeah, everything's lined up beautifully. Therefore, no harm results. Say, wonderful, wonderful thing you got going here. Societies of people sharing the same views are formed. Okay, this is more the group idea. Societies of people sharing the same views are formed. Here we have the idea of similar views. But since these groups come together in full public knowledge and are in harmony with the times, all selfish or separatist tendencies are omitted and no mistake is made. Okay, everything free and spontaneous and natural. Good. The idea of return is based on a course of nature. The movement is cyclic, and the course completes itself. So here we have the idea that the I Ching most directly emphasizes the movement is cyclic. This particular time that you find yourself in is going to complete itself. You're going through a cycle, and this is a natural course of nature. Therefore, because you're in this wonderful cycle, everything's going to be taken care of, and it's not necessary to hasten anything artificially. So don't try to push things toward the outcome that you want. It'll just happen perfectly. And this is the meaning of heaven and earth. Okay? Heaven and earth. Going further on this, all movements are accomplished in 6 stages, and the 7th stage brings return. Thus, the winter solstice, with which the decline of the year begins, comes in the 7th month after the summer solstice. So too sunrise comes in the 7th double hour after sunset. Therefore 7 is the number of the young light, and it arises when 6, the number of the great darkness, is increased by 1. So we have a point at which we're in the description of the end of the winter solstice here. We've just passed through the winter solstice, and the winter solstice is essentially the darkest time for whichever hemisphere you happen to find yourself in, whether that's in the summer, the winter solstice is in the summer, or whether it's in the winter in the northern hemisphere. So anyway, that the number of the great darkness is 6 in this estimation, and when just a little bit of light comes in to add to that great darkness and increases it to number 7, and that's the number of the young light. Okay, you can think of sunrise if you want to, or the beginnings of light just before sunrise occurs. So you've gone through a dark time, perhaps you had a difficult ending, had to help yourself recuperate as much as possible, and maybe you're still having some hanging on energy from that, but this paints the idea of there being a new beginning and a new cycle that's going to occur, and the old cycle is completing itself. And therefore, you don't need to hasten anything. You don't need to do anything artificial to assist. Everything will come at the appointed time. And in the idea of daybreak, or just before the sunlight comes above the horizon, we have the idea of the young light coming in, and this bringing that wonderful new beginning in which the darkness yields to the young light. So the idea of this state of rest gives rise to movement. So the state of rest gives place or allows movement to begin. So the winter solstice opportunity is to rest and recuperate. Probably not going to be as active as you are other times of the year. But this is stating that this state of rest is now changing toward more movement, which is nice. So the image, thunder within the earth, the image of the turning point. So here we have the idea of light, of thunder, right inside the center of the earth. The image of the turning point. No longer darkness, but light inside the earth. Thus the kings of antiquity closed the passes at the time of solstice. Merchants and strangers did not go about, and the ruler did not travel through the provinces. So here we go with this interpretation of the image. The winter solstice has always been celebrated in China as the resting time of the year. and this is a custom that survives in the time of rest observed at the new year. In winter, the life energy, symbolized by thunder, the arousing, is still underground. Read that again. In winter, the life energy that is symbolized by thunder, the arousing, is still underground. Movement is just at its beginning. Therefore, it must be strengthened by rest, so that it will not be dissipated by being used prematurely. So we want to make sure we get plenty of rest, because this is movement or the springtime in its infancy. And we want to give that thunder time to gather its steam so that it can do its thing properly. Therefore, we have to give ourselves, we have to be strengthened by rest, so that we won't try to dissipate or act in such a way that is too soon or not at the right time, or too much energy is being used by ourselves. Okay, so we want to cultivate that rest and rejuvenation. So this principle of allowing energy that is renewing itself to be reinforced by rest applies to all similar situations. So, and this is an interesting idea that extended a little bit further. The idea or principle of allowing energy that is renewing itself to be reinforced by rest applies to many different situations, such as the return of health after illness. So when you're ill, right, you have to rest. Let's say you're starting to feel better, not entirely 100%, but that's the time which you still need some more rest, but you're starting to move away from that illness. Then we also have the idea of allowing energy that is renewing itself to be maintained or reinforced by rest, and the return of understanding after a splitting apart or estrangement. So let's say you and another person split up, and then there could be a return of understanding after that splitting up, which would be good. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get back together with that person, but at the very least, although I suppose it could in certain cases, but it means very particularly that you're going to have an understanding of what you went through. You went through a splitting up, and now you're going to have the wisdom and the understanding to really see things in a very clear way. And that kind of is reiterated by the clarity that was talked about with abundance and fullness, and the union of joy and movement with wisdom. So here we're going to get that you would have the understanding after something had split apart. Could go in many different directions, but at least you're going to have that wisdom and understanding. So it says finally, everything must be treated tenderly and with care at the beginning, so that a return may lead to a flowering. So this is a very important thing to take note of. So here we have the idea of you have to treat things really gently and tenderly. Yeah, really be very cognizant of how you're conducting yourself. Tenderness and gentleness and extreme, care at the beginning. What is the beginning? Anything. The beginning of anything. The beginning of a new opportunity. The beginning of a new communication with someone. The beginning of a new interaction with someone. Any type of beginning has to be treated with tenderness and gentleness. And that, if we can do that, then the return that we are living through, this particular cycle, can lead to a flowering. So the return has to be treated tenderly and gently and with great care at the beginning, so that the return, the cycle that you're in right now, can lead to a flowering. And if you can do that, then you will have that wonderful flowering. So I hope that this has been really helpful for you. Please listen to it again and write down some of the most important ideas. I think it's very relevant for love and romance, and I'm thankful for you to tune in today. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you later.